Hey, it's Congressman Erik Paulsen, and thank you for joining for our latest installment of our weekly video conversation. I know the weather's been hot in Minnesota. It's also been pretty hot out in Washington as well. We're going to start with a Washington update. I will tell you the Ways and Means Committee met this week, the committee I serve on. We had a great hearing on domestic manufacturing and the need for tax reform because of the need to keep domestic manufacturing and growing those jobs here in the United States. That kind of leads into our first question I got from Robert this week in Bloomington, who sent in an email saying, "Dear Congressman Paulsen, I'm writing this email because of the lack of progress towards federal tax law revision in Congress. I urge you as my congressman to stop making the federal tax law more complicated and expensive for middle-class Americans. I urge you as my congressman to restructure the federal tax law to a flatter tax rate where everybody pays without special considerations. Please replace the insane tax laws with a straightforward approach that is fair to everyone." A couple of points here. Number one, unless Congress acts on January 1st, just about 6 months from now, we will have the largest tax increase in U.S. history. It'll be tax increases on individuals, on families, and on small businesses. That's not good for the economy. The House this week, or actually within a couple of weeks, is going to act to stop those tax hikes from happening. Unless we act, there could be 700,000 jobs lost from small businesses across the country. 14,000 of those jobs would potentially be lost in Minnesota alone, according to a recent study. I also want to mention that a part of that tax reform effort is going to be including a timeline and principles for more comprehensive tax reform. We absolutely need to get rid of the special carve-outs, the special loopholes that only benefit a few, so that we have a tax code that is simpler, that is fair, and also more competitive, so we can grow those manufacturing jobs here in the United States. Tax reform is something I'm committed to and something that we're going to move forward in Congress on a bipartisan basis. Also got a note this week from Edwina in Bloomington, and she wrote in saying, "I commend you, Congressman Paulsen, for the work you are doing on behalf of our soldiers and our recent college graduates. I'd like to ask you a question. What are you doing to help our veterans get jobs when they finish serving our country so bravely?" First of all, Edwina, thank you for that great question. On Monday, I had a chance to welcome home 30 members of the 133rd Air National Guard in Minnesota. A very moving experience. And we need to be doing all that we can to make sure that those folks are actually getting employed and getting jobs when they return home. So two things. Number one, I'm a co-sponsor of the Hire at Home Act, which makes sure that those that have gained valuable experience while serving abroad in fields like nursing or being a medical technician can now get their certifications in the civilian workforce much easier. Number two, we just passed legislation last week in the House that passed with strong support that streamlines the federal certification process. So if there's a federal license involved, you're going to cut through a lot of bureaucratic red tape. That bill passed the House, passed the Senate. It now sits on the President's desk. Thanks for taking the time to join in. I hope you'll continue to provide not only your questions, but offer your insight and your advice. Always stay in touch on Twitter, Facebook, or you can get me on the website at paulsen.house.gov. And have a great weekend.